We're live. I'm riding on a worker. Let's go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 3-Bar Exploits number 12. Oh god, I don't know what to say now. Here's Whackman and Bondfire. Say hello.
Heyo! Got the blazer on today, people. Looking sharp. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have my blazer. I have a Kool-Aid.
Very nice. Very nice.
I've got all kinds of fantastic t-shirts. I might go with t-shirts instead of the blazer as my thing for this. But anyways, so we have got several very good topics today. We're going to talk about strictly business a little bit first, and we're going to talk about our Twitters and whatnot, and let you guys know where to find us on there. But we've also got prison talk, as usual. We're going to kick it off with that. All these will be time-stamped in the description below, obviously, which is what we're talking about now. We're going to talk about prison talk. We're going to give each of our best gaming rage stories, which if anybody follows me on Twitter, you already know mine ahead of time, so that's good for you. Be proud of yourself. We're going to talk about the NFL preseason because Whackman thinks people should care about it for some reason. We're going to have a random question thrown out from Whackman about, I don't even know what, obviously. It's a random question, but something,
we don't know what it is. So.
Something deep and life-related. And we're going to talk a little bit about UMG Atlanta, a little bit about Envyus, a little about competitive Call of Duty and whatnot, stuff going on because UMG Atlanta's this weekend, and it's really not going according to plan for anybody. My whole top 4 predictions have just about been blown up except for like 2 teams. And then we're going to talk about the legalization of marijuana, good, bad, and indifferent, all that kind of stuff. So that should be pretty interesting to close things off, so be sure to stay for the whole show. And now I'm going to kick it over to Whackman.
What's up, guys? Yeah, make sure you check out Strictly Business Gaming that are hooking us up for this podcast. Twitter, tweet us with the hashtag 3Bar Exploits to let us know what it is that you would like us to discuss for future episodes. If you want to see somebody specifically on here, you can see in my portion of the stream at least, we have a spot all ready to go just for them. So tweet at them, Twitter bomb them, let them know that they need to be on this podcast. That would be supreme.
Strictly business. We're gonna link them. We're gonna link them in their Twitter in the description below, by the way. So check them out. They're doing a great job. Prison talk.
Prison talk. Last
do
week,
it.
I promoed, premiered, gave a little discussion blurb that I didn't go too far with about what paper is used for in prison. So, like I said, we're changing the format of this, a little more question and answer from the other guys here in the audience, but pages of books are very important. Pages of magazines, not so much because of the waxy cover. Pages of books can be used for several things. Now, first of all, toilet paper is more what you need for paper mache, and that's one of the places that we're going. But paper out of books is used for rolling cigarettes in places where you can't get tobacco. In local jails, a lot of them do not allow tobacco in. So if you can get your bugler, which for some reason was the tobacco of choice, it must be like the cheapest or whatever, but if you can get your bugler in, then you got to figure out how to smoke it. And when you're in jail, this is a little bit more difficult than you would normally imagine, that you have difficulty finding a way to smoke something. Not really the smoke getting whatever, but just controlling that burn. So rolling cigarettes is where paper from books is used the best, I suppose. Other than that, you can hollow out the book, use the book as a way to hold contraband like your lighter or your matches or however your fire enabling device or other contraband. You know, maybe you want to put your shank in a book, but using the paper out of the books is of most importance. Now, the one that's really cool, if you take toilet paper, specifically certain brands that break down really well of toilet paper, mix them with toothpastes and water, and you mix this all together, whenever the toilet paper dries out, it becomes hard as cement. I mean, it's almost hard as a rock, dude. It's pretty stout. So what they do is they cover vents with it. If they want to control their air conditioner, they'll make this paper mache kind of paste and put it over their air conditioning units. Make handles for things, especially like wires and stuff. It does offer some insulation if they want to get the wires and plug them into the wall where the TV's at, and then put them into their drink to warm it up or start a fire where they can smoke the cigarettes or whatever. But they make all kinds of stuff. It's amazing what toilet paper, toothpaste, and water gives you the ability to have a formable substance. It's really, really cool. Question.
I have a follow-up question related to all this contraband stuff. So I think in prison movies and whatnot, the most common contraband is probably cigarettes. So at least, like, that's kind of what everybody always, that's like the stereotypical, like, that's the contraband item that everybody has. So when I ask, is that accurate? And whether it is or not, if it's the most, then what's the second most common item of contraband? And if it's not, then what is actually the most common item that people, like, sneak in or whatever, what have you?
I want to say in a lot of prisons they actually have tobacco, and it's cigarettes are currency as opposed to contraband. Contraband is something that's anything that's not authorized to be inside is technically contraband. So I think in prison movies it's actually used as currency, and that's what I'm more familiar with. Now, in a local jail it's not, and so it is contraband. Tobacco would be contraband, and yeah, that was. I mean, think about how much money is made off of trying to stop nicotine and stop your addiction to nicotine. This is going to be one of the strongest addictions that you're going to carry into prison, that you can find a way to slake. So yeah, I would think tobacco would be the number one contraband item, and ways to smoke that tobacco. So papers, lighters. Other than that, you've got tools. Would be the second most, like pieces of metal. And
I guess that's for weapon purposes.
Well, that's what I was going to. It's not. I mean, it is for protection and stuff like that, but it's more for manipulation of other things. Like, you can't craft a cup into a still to make alcohol unless you have a way to make that cup do something. And so it's really weird if you have to have some type of tool, and that's just kind of neat.
How do they get tobacco in there?
I mean, you're looking for me to say they suitcase it, which is
well, I'm sure most of us can put two and two together on that one.
Suitcase muling it.
Is that like the only way though?
No, first of all, guards bring in a lot of things. Guards are usually pretty crooked. When I worked at the jail, it was $20. Is what I was offered on several occasions, because that seemed to be a standard. Apparently, somebody there was helping them out. But I remember my lieutenant told me one thing whenever I got hired, and that is, once you've been gotten, you are gotten forever. Once a guard turns over, the inmates own them. They can't say no anymore, because they'll turn over on the guard, and the guard will get in trouble.
Interesting.
So, but $20 was the price, the going rate for a pack of cigarettes, and I think at that time cigarettes were like $4 and change for a pack of smokes, like Marlboros.
She can make some bank as a guard.
Yeah.
Corrupt prison guard.
Wow.
High rolling.
The other thing that they like to get in was alcohol. It's a whole lot easier to bring in alcohol than it is to make alcohol, because we're going to save alcohol. Let's go ahead and write it down.
All right.
We'll save alcohol.
All right.
Prison.
Stay tuned for next week, folks, on Prison Talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we're going to jump to the next thing then, which is supposed to be our best rage story from gaming. So since I talked a lot in the intro and Whackmed just talked a lot for Prison Talk, let's start with Bondfire.
Best rage story. Well, the game I rage the most at is Call of Duty. Any of them, you name it. I've raged at every single one of them. And the story, this typical rage for me will include a lot of swear words. I will drop the occasional racial slurs, which are inappropriate in certain scenarios. And the story that sticks out to me is it's called playing Call of Duty. I think it was Modern Warfare 3. And I couldn't tell you exactly what was going on, but I was just getting super frustrated. And it was a time where I threw my controller down. And I don't typically throw my controller down, but I did, and I actually broke my control freak. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's cracked right there. It barely stays on there, but
I have a feeling.
that.
I have a feeling I've easily won the worst casualty category.
Yeah, you've won it for sure. But yeah.
How many times have you maybe it's too many. It might be too many to count. But how many times or how often do you actually throw an item even if it doesn't break?
Throw? No, I hit stuff down. I just remembered actually. I was playing Halo 4, so pretty recently. I think it was in November, and I was getting upset and I hit the table that I was playing on, and I actually put a nice little dent in it. It was a wooden table.
Nice.
And it was our coffee table because I was playing out in the living room. Yeah. So.
Well, that's a good one actually.
You got 2 stores for the price of 1.
Absolutely. Whackmed.
Cool.
Let's hear it. I bet it's a good one.
I play wired because I want to think that it helps me to have the little plug and play.
It helps you slightly, I think, according to Drifter.
You need to get a real wired controller. There ain't no plug in here.
Yeah,
I've got a wired
That's
scuff.
what I'm wondering. If the real wired, as opposed to just the battery charging wired, makes it better, or I don't know. So if you can see, this is where the battery pack goes, and this little portion on the bottom. Let's see, that's from my Turtle Beaches. This little portion on the bottom is no longer with us. To contrast, that's what it's supposed to look like. So that's what the bottom's supposed to look like, and this is what the bottom does look like. It's just missing.
Was that a product of throwing, slamming?
It actually made it all the way across the living room twice. It went to the other side and came back all of the way. I was very impressed with my ability to throw, the wall's ability to maintain its integrity, and then the fact that this is still here.
Can you give us any insight as to what led up to it? Was it just
absolutely.
a typical COD rage or a special event? You're doing fantastic. You've already carried us in with Prison Talk, so.
I don't remember specifically. It's typically it's typically that lag, like the host lag, when you're the host, the compensation style lag, where you're behind, but it's only just so much. And I do know that I was playing hardcore when it happened, and it's that I know I pulled the trigger, and I expect bullets to do what bullets do.
Most of us do,
and they don't. and there's no kill cam, so I can't go to the kill cam and at least say I am far enough behind this game that I should leave this game because I'm not a contributor to it. Mm-hmm. So, and I fully believe in that. If you're so far behind the game that you're not a contributor, you're actually a troll to your own team. But that's another topic. Since that wasn't there and I was playing hardcore, I threw that like Tim Tebow's career.
Well, that explains what. Did it hit the ground first?
No, it hit. Oh, very nice. No, it hit the other wall, and then I want to say it hit the ceiling, or it hit the ceiling and then the wall, and then it came all the way back across and bounced and landed behind me.
And the wall maintained its integrity.
I must have hit a stud because it didn't go through the wall. It put a big Denny mark, a coloration mark.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On the wall in the paint.
I would expect that thing to at least like crack or something.
Yeah, a sheetrock wall. I would have expected it too. As a sheetrock wall, it must be really good paint.
That's a pretty good one. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and show the aftermath of my troll or my rage from last night because that's where mine's coming from. So here we're gonna look at the carnage first. This is what a $250 Trident AX720 Plus headset for the Xbox 360 is supposed to look like. It's very nice. You got your mic here, and this is now what it looks like.
Does it still work?
Yes, it does. I'm gonna have to use it for the next 3 days until my Astros come in.
Duct tape.
Yep. No, if I wear it, hang on, let me put it on for you guys so you guys see how ridiculous it looks. Because this is how I was literally playing COD earlier today.
It's okay.
We got this one on,
right?
right?
You to look kind of ridiculous.
Well, you're gonna get it then. I know, dude. And then my mic will just randomly turn around like this, so my mic, the actual microphone, is like back here. So I'll be talking, nobody can hear me because the mic is so far back, it's not in front of my mouth. So it's So what happened was I was playing a game battles match, which is competitive Call of Duty, and we lost the first map. I don't remember. It went to 3 maps. I think we won the first map off of host, and then we lost the next 2 on my host, which is the opposite of what's supposed to happen. Theoretically, you're supposed to win on your own host because you have an advantage. So we won the first map off host, and we're like, okay, this is easy. We're definitely going to win. We just beat it. We were all 3-bar, and we just beat them like 6-3 in S&D. This is an easy win. So we go over to my host, and we're playing on raid, and literally every single COD BS item that exists in this game happened to me within 1 match. I ended up going, I think I ended like 2-9, but I had like 3 deaths where I was like, I was in the kitchen in raid, and I'm like hard aiming the doorway. I'm like sitting next to the big pillar in the middle of raid. I'm like sitting next to that kind of clipping on a little bit, and I'm hard aiming the corner of the doorway, and I'll literally hard aim it for like 7 seconds, just staring at it. And then right when I decide to move, like I pull out my sniper to walk around the corner and try to snipe someone. Right when I move, the guy comes around the corner and kills me. Like that happened 3 times. Another time, I saw someone run into the garage, so I'm like, okay, I've got this guy. So I run into the gym door, and I stand there hard aiming, waiting for him. He walks around the corner. I get 3 bullets off of a Scorpion before he even pulls his gun up, and all 3 of them landed. I got 3 hit markers. He kills me. He kills me in 2 bullets with the B23R. He one-bursted me, but we went back in theater and looked, me and my friend, and two casings came out of the gun before I died. He killed me in 2 shots, and this is all on my host, which I did not think was even possible. So that happened. And then another one was where a guy got on a head glitch, and I had an M8A1. I put 3 bursts in him, 3 bursts, and if he's on a head glitch, obviously that means they're hitting him in the head. So 3 bursts to what would seem to be at least the upper body, and he doesn't die, and he hits me in 1 burst, and I die. All on my host. So what happened was basically I took my headset off for a second. I said, okay, I'm gonna meditate for a second. I'm gonna calm down. So I was screaming. I was like screaming every time I died. So I'm like, okay, my team needs me. We can still win this game. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna take.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Can I see an example of oyster meditation?
Well, I mean that's kind of what I just kind of put my headset down and I just kind of sat here for a second. I'm like, okay.
He pulls a Tebow.
He pulls a Tebow.
Basically, I'm just like, okay. I'm gonna get my game together and we're gonna win this game. I'm about to go off. I'm about to drop like 3 aces in a row. I come back, same bullcrap happens again, and I just like yell and I take my headset off and I just slam it on the ground. Then I look down and it's cracked in half and I'm like, oh crap, that was bad. That was very bad.
Now is that the same night that that I was watching you stream on? Hey, here's you a plug, but I was watching you stream on Twitch.
No, this was last night. This happened last night. In the last 24 hours is when this took place.
No.
So I've only broken. I've thrown many an item. I try not to. Ever since I got my scuff, I've tried not to throw my scuff because it's expensive and I don't want to break it. So I've only thrown my scuff like once, whereas I threw my stock Xbox controllers several times, and I've thrown my headset. That's the first time I've ever like legitly thrown my headset, like grabbed it and thrown it. Like grabbed it a few times, I'll take it off and I'm like about to throw it and I just kind of toss it because I know I don't want to break it. Like I just get that little bit of self-control and not legitimately throw it. But that's the first time I've ever actually thrown a headset, and I shouldn't have, clearly. And I've thrown a controller many a time, but I've only broken one once. I threw it against that wall back there, right under that poster, and the bottom. It kind of similar deal to what happened with WhackMeds. The battery pack part broke in some way.
Now, I would like to go ahead and maybe not plug Microsoft in general, but I have, look at how worn the back of this is right here. That's pretty cool. I have squeezed. I have just not put it between my knees, but that's like almost a therapy for me to just hold it in the lap and just crush it together. And I don't know if you could hear it. No, you can't hear it, but it pops every once in a while, like the plastic realigns with itself. These are some really resilient pieces of equipment. I don't know, how is the PlayStation?
PlayStation controller?
Yeah, as far as resiliency.
That's good. I don't rage at the PlayStation because I don't play too competitively on there, but I'd say it's pretty good.
I don't know how many people squeeze their controllers, so we may not get an accurate comparison.
I don't like. I don't do that. So, I would say it's comparable though.
You heard it from Bondfire here first. There is no way to play competitively on the PlayStation.
That's right. All of you people I see on Twitter saying you get retweeted by the competitive retweeters, and you're like, need one for a PS3 competitive team. I laugh at you. There's no such thing as a PS3 competitive team. You're kidding yourself. But anyways, we'll move on.
Bash, bash.
We need to get that as a GIF, some kind of animation. Whackman doing that right there.
Oh, I'm willing to pose for all kinds of silliness and frivolity.
We need to get some GIF files going to use as effects in our videos.
That
Some
would be
Whackman
good.
ones.
I'd be happy to help you supply that.
I could see using that bash.
Yeah. Plus, as far as other rage goes, I put up that video where that's pretty much my standard amount of rage. Where
Is it the horses on the road one?
No, that was.
I was about to say, because that is weak rage.
I edited a lot of. When I raged hard in that video, it was pretty pointed, and I didn't want to be so pointed. So
that was a mistake. My subs always said we want more rants, and I'm like, well, I have to actually be angry about something to rant, so I can't post a rant video every day.
I made a list of
people
things.
like anger.
I made a list of things to rant about, and I may try another one or two, but I don't know. I'm happy to supply you with silliness and frivolity, though.
Good. Glad to hear it. Anybody else got anything else to add on rage? I would ask what's the game we all rage at the most, but we already know the answer to that. So let's not even say anything. Let's move on. Let me write down this timestamp. And
so the NFL preseason is supposed to be the next one. This is something that kind of came in this year with no fanfare, at least locally for me. And that's really, it's weird. Like, I missed the first game of the NFL preseason, and I understand most of you have no desire whatsoever. And I can say that honestly because it's not on TV. It doesn't get top billing. It is on TV. It doesn't get as much exposure on TV as the regular season does. It is the first live football game you can watch. It shows you coaches' thoughts. It shows you things that the teams are working on. You get to see your guys take the field. At least, almost always, at least for the very first series, it's your starters. And maybe they're not going 150% in the preseason games, but they're there. And it's your guys. And I understand that we're going to get into how certain things don't matter, but does it really mean that little to everybody?
Are we just going to get right to me, or is Bondfire going to say something first? Because
I was just going to
say,
for NFL, I could care less about preseason because I'm not really into that sport as much as other sports like, say, basketball. But I agree to your point as to right now that, like, I didn't even realize preseason was going on, and I hear it from a guy I work with. He's like, "Oh yeah, I caught the Seahawks game last night," and I was like, "Oh, that was on." And it for one, you're right, it doesn't have enough exposure. Like the only games I'm seeing on are on NFL Network, which is a prepaid network you have to subscribe to. So there's no way for me to really access it. But when it comes to sports like basketball, I have a team and I follow that team, and I actually do watch the preseason. It is the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
And I do enjoy watching like Summer League, which I think is comparable to preseason. The reason why I like the Summer League is because you get to see a lot of those new draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see some of those guys play, the top prospects, and kind of see how they do. And I like to see that, as well as in the preseason, you get to see, you're not always watching those, the all-star players, but again, those top draft picks. Again, you get to see those guys and kind of how they fit into the particular team's system. So to me, that's interesting because I actually follow a specific team. I'm into that sport, but preseason though, it doesn't really matter, just because it has no bearing on. I think it doesn't have a bearing on your entire season as a sport, as well as how you're gonna do, and it has no foreshadowing as far as I think. It's just a way to test out those new players and systems as far as plays.
All right.
Let's hear the rant.
Well, don't call it a rant before it starts, because then it loses to some of the specialness.
It's always special, don't worry.
Okay. Well, okay, the preseason is incredibly valuable for the actual teams, and it's incredibly important, but it's absolutely irrelevant, and you shouldn't care about watching it as a fan, because the only preseason game it's actually fun to watch is the third preseason game, because there is a chance that in that one you get maybe an entire half out of your first team, or maybe even a little bit more, depending on what your team situation is. But I told you guys this before the show started, but so the viewers can hear it too. My parents went to the Panthers preseason game on Friday night. I did not go, but and here's why I didn't go, is because the starting team for the Panthers, the first team, the starters, played 12 snaps in that game. Watching your starters play 12 snaps is just not has zero entertainment value. And Whackman before the show brought up you get to see what your second team looks like and what your third team looks like in case it comes to that and they have to play. If my third team is playing, or for a lot of positions like quarterback where it's all on one guy, if my second team's playing, I already know that I'm screwed. If Derek Anderson's looking good, I know that if Derek Anderson's in the game, we're probably going to lose anyways. So he can be looking good for Derek Anderson, but he's not Cam Newton, so it doesn't really matter. And it's I don't want to watch my starters barely play. The outcome of the game itself, win or loss, has no meaning. So it's like if my team scores a touchdown, it's like, okay, we scored a touchdown. If we win this game, who cares anyways? So why should I care that we scored a touchdown? The biggest reason for the preseason is for the coaching staff to see the kind of marginal, like, are they going to make the team or are they not going to make the team players like that? Are we going to cut this guy, or is this 6th round draft pick? Are we going to keep him on the team? Are we going to put him on the practice squad? Like, it's important in those kind of ways, which is very important. But I don't see the entertainment value in watching the players who you actually want to see and want to watch play, and the players you actually know. I don't see the entertainment value in seeing those guys barely play in a game where the score doesn't even matter. And you might as well go watch practice. In reality, like, that's what I see a preseason game as. I see it as glorified practice.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I'm pretty much done.
But it is practice, and it's practice against other guys. And I think that it's got to be hardest on the linemen. I did play line when I did play, and I was thinking that it's got to be hardest on them because you never go 50% on the line. The Pro Bowl team, is it the Pro Bowl where they actually, you see the linemen come up and they're just kind of holding each other off. They're not going wide open at it. But you actually get to see your people take the field. And to me, that's bigger than which people those are. If they're in your uniform, to me, that means something. And maybe it's because I'm not as engrossed in the NFL. I watch it before college starts, and I watch it a lot more after college is over. And a couple years back, I really got into it because of the fantasy. I was in a fantasy league, and I just got way deep into it. The next year, didn't care so much. Pittsburgh Steelers' favorite team at that time, by the way. It's just really hard to watch them. Because of where I am, it just makes it difficult, and I guess that slights my opinion. It's football, and I'm just really excited to be getting back to football. And I don't understand why more people. I mean, I guess some people are, and that's why it's on TV to begin with.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get in as much exposure. I don't know. Is NFL Red Zone kicked up? Have they started?
I doubt. I'm sure they don't. I'm sure they don't do any of that stuff till the season starts.
Yeah.
So, well, here's my question for you, Wackman, just to get kind of a bearing of your situation. What's the team that gets broadcast in your town? Like, which team do you get every Sunday?
Miami.
Is it the Buccaneers?
That's Miami
That's
and
the farthest
Jacksonville.
Away.
And
there's 3 teams down there. I didn't realize.
Yeah, there's Miami, Jacksonville, and Tampa Bay.
Forgot about Jacksonville.
I don't know what they did to make people mad, but it seems I don't follow it close enough for it to matter. Usually, if I'm watching NFL on Sunday, I'm falling asleep pretty quickly. But
so the team you get every Sunday always is Miami.
I always get Miami. I always get Jacksonville.
You get both
offered to me, and CBS is going to pick them both up. And Atlanta is usually a featured game, like depending on which teams have to fight for TV spots. Atlanta is usually favored pretty well, and Carolina actually. We get to watch, and I was actually kind of excited to watch Carolina because I wanted to know if Cam Newton could turn. What did they go? 0-16,
2-14.
that year, the year before he got drafted?
Yeah,
2-14.
2-14.
I wanted to know if one player, and it's not just one player, I realize that, but if one player could do all of those things, and
I'd say it was one player, but
he did a pretty good job. I don't remember. I don't know what. Do you know what?
He had a great rookie season.
He did. Do you know the numbers on that, Oyster?
His individual numbers. The team went 6-10.
6-10.
The team went 6-10. Could have been 9-7 or even 10 wins, but
That's what, a 200%.
depending on what happens. But yeah, I could go in-depth Panther talk all day. That bore people to death, so I'm not going to. But I don't know. Cam may not be the answer, but we'll get that's a different discussion.
I tell you what, I'll trade Cam Newton for Josh Freeman any day of the week.
I would too.
And
Josh Freeman is not that bad though.
I heard. Yes, he is. He's trash, dude. He's garbage.
No, he's not.
I'll take
That's
your
why he wants
backup
to
over
trade him.
Josh Freeman. And you know what's weird is that I watched this kid play. Calling me kid. I watched this dude play, and I'm like, you're terrible. Dude, you've got the passing skills of oh wow, don't mind goes blank. You've got the passing skills of Tim Tebow, and you have the feet of
ridiculous.
and you have the feet.
I have the
of
passing
Peyton
skills
Manning.
of Tim Tebow, not Josh Freeman.
No, he's got the feet of Peyton Manning and the passing skills of Tim Tebow.
Clearly, you only watched him last season and not the season before
Who?
that because Josh Freeman.
Yeah, that's all.
The season before that, he was pretty solid, and I feel like, if I remember correctly, the tail end of this season, he actually picked it up a pretty decent amount, statistically at least, if I remember correctly.
I think so too, because I think I had him on my fantasy
Yeah, I was
team.
about to say, because he became a viable fantasy pickup the last few weeks of this season, so
Yeah.
I think you're giving Josh Freeman a little bit too much crap, but people don't want to listen to us talk about Josh Freeman, so.
Hey, well, we could talk about Russell Wilson and how awesome that is.
Put your favorite NFL team in the chat below. Tell us who
Good plug.
we will try to say something about them in the future. I'm sure we'll talk about football again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure we will.
But back to the preseason thing, the reason that you're saying it's football, that's all that matters, getting to watch football.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of, it did to an extent.
Yeah.
It's not real football though, because you're seeing basically what you're seeing starters play a limited amount of time in a game where the outcome doesn't matter, and then you're seeing backup players play against each other. Now, real football to me is when Wake Forest is going to play Presbyterian, and we know Wake Forest is going to crush Presbyterian because Presbyterian's like a Division II school, so they're going to win the game. But at least it's a game that matters. If you're if you went positive in preseason, or I say positive, that's Call of Duty. If you have a winning record. If you have a winning record in the preseason and that counts as a win, then maybe I would, for the regular season, maybe I would watch. But the fact that it doesn't matter.
What's even more important is that you recognize that the only way Wake Forest can get a win is to beat a Division II team.
I'm going to argue. I mean, it's not like we've split the series between the two teams the last 6 years.
True.
Delusional. This guy's delusional over here, thinking Florida. Every year, Florida State's going to be nationally relevant. We're a national title contender. That's the whole. The whole country says that, and then what happens? 8-4, 9-3, and failure.
You know that makes me mad. If you want to
never live up to expectations, you're just like all the Clemson fans that pollute this area of the world for me and think that they're just the greatest team in the country every year. Then they get slapped by some mid-level ACC team in Week 1. They lose to Georgia Tech by 30. You're not that good.
Oh man, and there you have it, people. Another rant from Tactical Oyster.
I love it. Don't get me wrong, because here's the way it works: is if you want to beat Florida State, the answer is easy. If Presbyterian wants to beat Florida State, the answer is easy. You're gonna win. You're gonna win. Florida State's gonna beat them like 70-0. They're gonna roll over the top of them. Just tell Florida State that they're gonna win, and then let the press corps into the Florida State locker room, and let them get the players to believing that they're gonna win. Florida State hadn't got a prayer.
I agree. I agree.
It's all mental, and you look at it and you go, how can E.J. Manuel throw pass after pass after pass that are on the numbers, in the chest, or directly in the gut? Or if it's over the shoulder, it's because it's that perfect window, perfect opportunity to that receiver that can do it. Every single pass, perfect this game. And then the next game, he can't throw it across the line of scrimmage. It's almost that bad. It is almost that bad. Is that my team goes through moods that are so. It's like give them some lithium or some Xanax or something. Get them stabilized. Get them stable. So at least I know at the beginning of the year, this is the caliber of football team I have. Not one that's like blazing awesome, could beat Alabama this game, and then can't beat Wake Forest the next week.
The only reason that Florida State's nationally relevant every year, or the only reason that they're as good as they are every year usually, which is like the not 10-2 range-ish, somewhere around there typically, I'd average out to about that most years, is because every fast athletic kid in Florida goes to Florida State. Well, some of them go to Florida, some of them go to Florida, but a lot of them go to Florida State. Because every year when Wake Forest plays Florida State, what happens is whenever they lose, it's because either the game it's close the whole game, and then at the end you can tell that we just don't have as much in the tank as they do, so it becomes a fatigue factor, and Wake Forest isn't as deep either. Like Wake Forest second string isn't. There's a bigger gap between the second strings and the first strings. Yeah. So it's usually that. Or just the running back for Florida State's just running a 4.340 and they just can't catch him, and as soon as it just gets busted open immediately. But then the years that Florida State loses to Wake Forest, it's because they come out completely flat and they look like they don't know what they're doing, and they get down 2 touchdowns early and then they get dejected and they can't recover.
We're physically one of the best competitors every single year. We are mentally weird.
If it was track and field, if every football team in Division I went in track and field against each other, I'd have my money on Florida State probably to be in the top 3.
Or Miami in years past. But I tell you who, to get Bondfire into the conversation, Oregon has looked solid for, at least 4 years now. Like super solid.
The 4 years we had
basically
Chip Kelly.
The years I was about to say that Chip Kelly
BCS game. So, yeah.
Oregon's ranked like 3rd in the preseason poll. But.
Are they? That's good. I was going to say, what game are you guys most excited for this college season? Mine is Oregon versus Stanford, because that was our one loss last year, which was stupid. That pissed me off, because we would have went to the title game.
We lost to Stanford last year. That actually pissed me off.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was 2 years ago that Wake Forest lost to Stanford. I think it was it 70-28, I think. They put up like 63 or 70 points. I don't remember, because I remember watching it in a hotel room somewhere, and after they got to like 40, I'm like, this is dumb. I'm not watching this anymore.
That's brutal.
That's the only Stanford thing I know about football, like specifically. But what's your game?
I'm excited for Auburn, Alabama, actually.
Okay.
That's interesting.
It's always a really good game. Because of the drive, and college football is based so much on emotion, which is one of the reasons I find it personally superior to the NFL, because it's about the hype, it's about the game day, it's less about the athlete and more about the situation, the whole everything, and that is something that I really enjoy. So Auburn, Alabama always brings that, and then it comes down to the fact that Alabama has been pulling such awesome athletes, and you do for years. That's how dynasties are forged. For years, they're going to be recruiting off of their success for the last, whatever, I haven't tracked it.
5-6 years-ish.
Yeah.
And they're going to succeed from that. Auburn gets to pull the people that hate Alabama. And as much as one team is loved, there is something to be said for the recruiting of the hate of that team too. Like, I would never, if I was a football player, I'd never go to Florida. If Florida State didn't offer me, a scholarship, I would never go to Florida because of the hatred for Florida, the fandom hatred for Florida. And they have an awesome school. But I'd go to Georgia or something. Maybe I'd go to Alabama. I'd go to somebody who's got a relevant shot at beating the Gators. Just because of the hate is as equal a recruiting factor as the love. So Auburn, Alabama is my answer.
Yeah.
The game everybody's pointing to, everybody else seems to be interested in, is Texas A&M and Alabama. That's like every day on ESPN. That's the game they bring up. So I mean, that seems to be the national attention game for this year so far, at least.
How far?
Well, didn't A&M give them their one loss?
A&M gave them their one loss last year. Obviously,
and
got the
Johnny Manziel won the
thing, and then you've got Alabama's Alabama, and so it's week 3, so it's an early game. So that seems to be like the marquee national game of the season thus far. As a Wake Forest fan, I'm looking at Saturday, September 28th at Clemson. Purely, I don't hate Clemson. Okay, I think they've got lots of thugs. And they're similar to Florida State, and the only reason they beat people is because they're way faster than everybody else, or the main reason at least. But the Clemson fan base, the bandwagon Clemson fan base that has invaded the area around where I live in recent years is so disgusting.
Sorry about that.
Okay, it's so aggravating. It's so frustrating. All these people, because every year Clemson fans are like, you walk up to them like, what do you think? What do you think Clemson's going to do this year? I think they'll be about 8-4, 9-3. They're like, wait, you don't think we're going to the national championship? Because that's what we think. And they do that every year. And you know what happens every year? Every year they start out either one of two things happens. They either lose a game early, like I said, to like Duke or Georgia Tech or Virginia or somebody like that who's, not bad, but they're not, they shouldn't be beating the top teams. Or they start out like 7-1 and then they lose 4 straight at the end of the season. So that happens every year. So I hate these Clemson fans who just overrate their team so much. So to be able to win that game in Wake Forest every year, they either beat Clemson by a very narrow amount or they get absolutely blown out by like 30.
Is Oregon like that?
Like
obviously, I don't get any Oregon hype down here. I follow Oregon. If I lived out west, I would be straight up an Oregon fan. I actually stay up late to watch the Oregon games often. I like the team. I like what they do, and obviously, I'd be a fair weather fan at this point. But their uniforms are killer, and always killer, and they perform as well as their style.
Yeah, well, I think it's the mentality that Chip Kelly really enforced and kind of put into these kids and the team. And like the slogan over at Oregon is "Win the Day," and they apply it on and off the field. And he's very strict, and he knows what he wants to do, and he just has that confidence, and he's put that in the team. And then they got old Uncle Phil over at Nike just throwing money at him, and they got giving them those awesome uniforms, and can't argue with that. But I will say one thing I'm a little concerned is with, because we did lose Chip Kelly. He's now with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's got his own problems over there.
Yeah, being with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, and the whole Riley Cooper thing. But anyways.
That is what it is.
I'm not concerned about the players because we have solid players. We had a great recruiting offseason. But I'm more concerned about how the new head coach is going to do, and if he can carry on that mentality and the legacy that Coach Kelly instilled into the Oregon Ducks. So,
Ahmed says in the chat he's not familiar with Riley Cooper. I know the chat's supposed to be a safe place, but that was a national news headline you should know about, so I'm calling you out for it. We're not going to talk about it on the show because it's somewhat racially sensitive, but after the show...
Oh, never mind. Know what it is now.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Ding.
Yeah.
Let me get my sound effect going.
Concert.
I can real quick. Got to load the Google effects. The moment is lost, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's the last thing. That's a doorbell. I don't know what to... Okay,
there it is. Hey-o.
I was trying to figure out the right sound effect, but anyways.
Yeah.
That's the. I would have liked a light bulb or something, but
That'd be cool if you could do like a light bulb above your head.
Well, yeah,
I was gonna say, there was a national news article that Yahoo did on Oregon's new football facility. Have you guys came across that or even heard about it?
Nope.
Holy
I
crap.
heard about it at the end of last college season. I haven't heard any new updates.
Oh my! They've got like pictures on it. You have to check it out because they didn't have a problem with recruiting, that bad, given their uniforms and just the quote unquote swagger that they have. But they've got this. I think it's like a $68 million football facility, and it is amazing. Like, oh my God, it's incredible. They've got like player lounges with like pool, TV, and like the most amazing workout facility ever. They've got multiple meeting rooms with like big screens to watch film, and a giant cafeteria with like anything and everything you'd ever want. Like these players, if I was an Oregon football player, I would never leave that facility because it's like heaven. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
I've been in Florida State's facilities a couple of different times for different reasons, and they're not low rent. They're really nice. Like everything that the player gets involved in, like the gym facilities, are huge. They're immaculate, and like when I played football in high school, or even weightlifting is the same weight room, workout room. Everything was rusty. Like all the weights were rusty. Nothing in their place is rusty. I don't know if they go around with olive oil wiping it on there, making sure that they don't get rusty or whatever. But nothing has rust on it. They all look like brand new, almost brand new weights.
It's crazy. Like I think like when as soon as you walk in, because they got like the front desk, and then they've got like 64 like 55-inch TVs that can all be synced up to play the same picture. It's crazy. Like, check it out if you get the chance. You can find it.
We should pay these athletes because they're barely scraping by and they have nothing. We should pay.
That was a past 3-bar, but
if you're not detecting sarcasm, I think
3-bar throwback.
Yeah, 3-bar throwback. I like it.
Throwback Thursday. It's not Thursday, but you know,
Tuesday.
It happens on Bondfire show.
Every Thursday. Come and check out my channel for a week.
Did you upload one this week?
I did.
What was it?
Some Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that. Okay,
Call
I
of Duty.
couldn't remember what it was. Yeah, let me get that cha-ching going.
Man, there's a couple moments in there where Codfire comes out just a little bit.
Oh, just no. You go.
Watch
my live stream that I just put back up. Go watch that live stream because Codfire comes out in full effect in a couple of those games. I don't remember the timestamps on them. Straight up, full on.
You remember the
timestamps? It's towards the end of the
stream.
stream.
You just want them to watch the whole thing so you can get your viewer retention up. Don't lie.
Sounds good to me.
But also, plug here, Whackman does stream. I believe it's every Wednesday.
Wednesday 10/9 Central, 8 Pacific.
Does your work schedule just work out so that you don't work? Because I know your work schedule's kind of out there.
I usually try to be off for church on Wednesday night, and so it's after church, it's after the kids go to bed, it's after I get everything set up and the house gets quiet, and so from 10 to 12, jam on.
If you want to see TacticalOyster live stream, just follow me on Twitter, link below, and I'll tweet it every time. Yeah.
TacticalOyster goes clutch on his last live stream that I caught. Maybe he did it again. I come in and I had to pause it to look and see how well he was doing, which I think at the time he was like 3-9 on
I was doing bad.
He was getting destroyed.
I was doing bad.
That doesn't work, but he was getting destroyed. And I come in, it's him. Was it a 1-on-3 or 1-on-2? I think it was a 1-on-3.
It was 1-on-3. Just
and they had the plan off.
Tell him, let him know.
They had the plant. He gets all the enemies, takes them all down, and goes clutch with the defuse, and then goes clutch on the overtime round as well, and taking out the final 2 enemies in the overtime round. So he's that's why he just
what are you, the Hulk?
got up with what gaming is it again? You are now.
I am now
a professional gamer.
Well, we're professional once we place top 8 in an MLG event, and that probably won't happen anytime soon. So I'm now a member of Conspiracy Esports competitive Call of Duty team. So that's why my Twitter has been changed. For those of you who maybe saw my Twitter get changed and had no idea why on earth does it say TacticalOyster now. But yeah, so I don't think they did that because I got a clutch in league play, but you never know. Maybe they saw it. I don't know. New topic.
Random question time.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh. Watch out now. Here it comes. I'm scared.
Okay, let's hear it. If it's anything like the last one, or if it's anything like the wake up in a ditch naked one, then this is going to be interesting. Let's hear it.
No, I don't have anything that's that awesome, but
there's someone in your background behind your green screen.
That's
like it's somebody.
People go by.
What?
If you were God for a day, what would you do?
Oh God! Why?
Wait,
oh,
what? I
well,
missed it.
That's the nice pun. But
If you were a God for a day, what would you do?
God for a day?
just to clarify, like God is in like overseeing just like the whole world, or am I like the Hindu sun god? I'm in control of one thing, or am I just control of everything?
Look, I'm a very religious person. I'm not going to step
I'm
on
aware
my
of that.
God's toes. But if you had omnipotence for a day,
Okay. So this theoretically means I can like change anything in the world if I want, like at the drop of a hat. Theoretically speaking.
I don't have that much invested in the question. Go for it.
Well, I'm just trying to. I want to answer
know.
accurately, so I'm just.
I appreciate your help, but sure.
Well, I'm gonna let Bondfire go first because I feel like I could easily just say I would cure cancer. I would let Wake Forest win the national championship in football and basketball.
You'd have to be.
I would cure. I would cure AIDS. Well, basketball not necessarily. I could cure AIDS. I would like get rid of world hunger. I would make it so that there was no such thing as poverty anymore. Like, I could easily say all that stuff, but I mean, like that's odd. Like it's like, what's the limit of what you can do? Because like I could just say I can correct all bad in the world instantly. But I don't want to say that because that seems like a boring answer. So I'm gonna let Bondfire go first to set the precedent of what we're working with.
Well, shoot. Thanks for putting me on the spot there, buddy.
Sounds like an answer to me.
Well, yeah. I would probably get this country. I don't want no political here, but I would get this country back to where it was when it was founded. Just principle-wise.
Yeah.
Principle-wise. You know,
freedom.
And I would also wipe out communism.
That's a good one.
Get rid of that crap because it doesn't work.
It works for the people at the top, and that's why it exists.
I just want to go ahead and say that was completely political.
Yes, that was 100% political.
I'm just not elaborating.
If you say get back to what it was founded on, you're implying that we're not currently working with what it was founded on. Therefore, it's political against the current government. Whack-med. Continue.
And I would I would make everyone go sub to my YouTube channel.
Oh, that's a good one. I would make myself the best Call of Duty player in the world, so I could win every MLG event, and I would also give myself 10 million. I've made myself the #1 most subbed YouTuber and make them all active subs. So whatever that number is, like 11 million or whatever. I don't know who's #1 now, but I would make myself surpass them.
All right then.
I've never dreamed that big. I don't know what I would do if I just woke up and it was within my ability. I think that I would be as communistic as possible in that day because I would have the ability as a individual to be that benevolent. And even though I do not endorse communism in one little bitty sense of the word, part of that is because I think it's an individual's responsibility to help. And so cutting rivers where there is a need for a river, I see as a way to help. Ways to inhabit all of the world as opposed to some of the ways that the world is not inhabitable at the moment. See, the thing is that you go further into what does that do to climate change and whatever. Well, if there's no super repercussion or whatever, let's turn Africa into a farming nation instead of being 50 or 60% desert.
Clever.
If we were on PKA and people actually cared, they would have called you out just now for calling Africa a nation instead of a continent. Anyways, let's continue.
Good point.
Wow.
But we don't have enough fans for anybody to post a video of just that clip of you calling Africa a nation, so we don't have to worry about it.
It's okay. I think that I would try to be as benevolent as possible in helping as many masses of people as I could, so that the governments would not be looked to for supplying those types of things.
That's a very humble and helpful answer. I want to twist this question slightly and come up with a random question of my own. It's a very not stereotypical. I guess it's been asked a million times in a million different TV shows and whatnot. But a genie walks through your door, and you get 3 wishes. Now, if you're being selfish with the wishes, obviously you would have to have the weight of banishing poverty and curing cancer and that stuff. But if you throw all of that kind of stuff out the window, just 3 selfish wishes, or not necessarily selfish, but just that would benefit you. Self-serving wishes that would benefit you in your life. What would they be? You'd have 3
things. Wishes,
and you cannot wish for more. You cannot wish for more wishes, and you can't wish for. Well, actually, never mind. I'll keep that second one off there. But you can't wish for more wishes. That's the other rule.
3 self-serving wishes. I would want physical beauty for all of my family, including my offspring. I would want wisdom, because that seemed to work out really well for someone in the past. And I would want, I don't know, I think wisdom would fix it. Physical beauty and wisdom, and worldwide wisdom to understand how awesome I am.
Okay.
Let's just say the third one is YouTube popularity.
All right. I'd go with the physical appearance one as well. I'd like the ability to make anybody that I wanted physically, the
Midas touch.
Perfect. Yes.
You pretty.
Including myself. So that would be number 1. I've got several competing.
I want hair.
Things.
Can I have 3 back? I want hair.
I've got several competing things. I would want whatever ventures I went into gaming, in gaming and YouTube, I would want those to be successful. So I can't say for sure what that would be. I can't say I would want to become the best Call of Duty player in the world, because then does that benefit my YouTube, or does it just make me really good at Call of Duty? I could say I want to be the most subscribed YouTuber, but then what does that mean for me, monetarily? What does that mean for me compared to other people? So I guess I would want to have my goal. I would want to reach all of my goals of success in YouTube and gaming. Would be wish number 2. So, win a couple MLG championships, make my living off YouTube for the rest of my life, that kind of stuff. And then number 3 is I would want to know the answer. How should I word this? I would want to know what the outcome of all of my decisions would be before I made them.
Wow.
If I chose to have that, if there's a decision, if I want to buy a lottery ticket, and I don't want to say I want to know if I'm going to win or not, because I want a surprise to happen, then okay. But I want to be able to choose to know the outcome of any of the decisions I make or the questions I ask before I make them. So if I can say, do I want to? Yeah, this is a small time example, but it could apply to big decisions in life as well. Do I want to go to this restaurant? If I go to this restaurant tonight, is it going to be a good experience for me? And I can see in the future and say, oh, they're going to get my order wrong, and then somebody's going to spill a drink, and then this person next to us has a birthday, so they're going to come sing around the table, and I'm going to be like, okay, I'm not going to enjoy my time here. I'm going to go to a different restaurant. That's a small example, not a meaningful thing, but it would also apply for life-changing decisions as well. So I would like that ability.
Wow.
This one I just came up with. So, Bondfire, let's hear it.
First off, I think I would wish for that I would never have a financial worry for the rest of my life. So I would be financially stable and comfortable for the rest of my life. So basically money I wouldn't have to worry about. 2, I would like to be a successful business owner in all of the ventures I would like to go into. So whether that be YouTube, whether that be a clothing line, or whatever, it would probably be all of the above. But I want to be successful and profitable in all of those ventures. And 3,
outfitters.
there you go.
I see him looking stylish with the little goatee, and then the blazer, and then the gunner glasses.
This is a soul patch, my friend. I can't do the goatee. I don't have connectors.
You know what I meant. It all kind of fits together. Either
And
way.
then
Yeah, because
the
if we
last
had
one-
enough haters, they'd tell you that Africa's not a nation.
Yeah.
True
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. You can see a clip of that already uploaded on YouTube as we speak.
10-minute
And
loop. Big gif.
the
Entitled
last one,
Whackman's an idiot.
because I feel pretty good with the first two. The last one would probably be for my dog to live as long as I do, because I don't want him to.
Oh, that's a good.
That's
one.
pretty good, yeah.
That's good.
He's my little buddy, and I love that guy. So and I had a
I'll put him
close
in a
call
Call
with
of
him
Duty game
back
then.
in February. So there we go.
My dog, I have two dogs. One of them just sleeps all day, and the other one has got some kind of anxiety disorder. And it like we're pretty sure it's based on how it acts, because it always tries to get up in like tight and close spaces, and it's like really like clingy and stuff. And we got it like a couple months now ago. So we think it's got some kind of trauma or something, because it like tries to stick its head under the bed whenever people go to bed. So I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, it's a good dog, but it's got some mental issues going on. We don't know what it is exactly.
You have a dog that tries to sniff your butt through a mattress. That's pretty awesome.
No, not like that. Take it out of context.
One of my best
Like,
friends has a dog with anxiety issues, so I kind of know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it'll try to if you pet it once, it literally like tries to climb on top of you. Like it has to be having human contact, or like be in a very small enclosed space at all times. It's weird. Like it'll try to stick its head between
How
the
much
bed
does it
and the
weigh?
nightstand. I mean, well, one of our dogs weighs like 80 pounds. Like it's a big dog.
Uh-huh.
And then it's a similar breed, but not exactly the same. It's like 55 or 60 pounds, I think.
Okay, so they're both bigger dogs.
It's well sized.
Nice.
Tries to like stick its head between the bed and the nightstand and stuff and sleep. I don't know, it's weird, but that's a good one though. Good wish.
Yeah.
Whackman, you seem like the kind of person who would have a dog.
Hunting dogs.
Do you have some?
Hunting dogs, yeah. For deer, yeah. Walker, beagle, mix. You need a walker for, a walker is a taller dog, but the nose isn't as well developed. A beagle is a smaller dog, but they have awesome noses. They can smell and trail really well. So you put them together and you get the size, the stature of the walker is what you're desiring with the ability to smell of the beagle. That's the desire to have that breed. And yeah, they have their own. I mean, they're tools. It's not like a lovey-dovey dog. Like I don't have a lovey-dovey dog. I don't have a house dog. I refuse to have any animals inside the house. That's just not me. That's not the way I grew up. But
It's disappointing.
well, I've never been into anyone's house. Anyone. I've been into a lot of houses. I've never been to someone's house who had an inside animal that did not smell like the animal.
It's probably a good point.
Okay.
And I mean, I guess I should limit that. I have fish, so that's not.
So your house
This
smells
ain't-
like fish?
But it's like
what you did.
yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah, that's gross. I don't even really like fish.
But dogs don't smell bad though. Like unless
Yeah,
they've been
they
out
do.
rolling
They
in crap
stink.
all day.
You
No, they
got-
don't.
I'll tell you,
You've
the
been to
wet
the
dog
wrong
smell
people's
is the
houses.
worst.
Oh yeah.
Wet dog is the worst.
I mean, a dog can smell bad, like in certain situations after certain things happen and stuff. But like, it's not like you you come into the house every day and you can tell that the dog's been in the house just based on the smell. Like, you've been in the wrong people's houses if that's the impression. You get.
Well, I'm a paramedic. My job is to go to people's house.
And save their lives.
You got to breathe while you're there.
Like,
you know?
I like how matter of fact that was. He's like, it saved their lives. Like, okay, yes, Bondfire, we got that. Thank you for chiming in.
I go
You're welcome.
and this may be medic talk, but I go into this one house. It's an elderly apartment complex.
We're gonna have medic
And-
talk. Just wait.
Prison talk
I'd
and medic
much
talk.
rather have medic talk than prison talk. It's been a long time. Anyway,
Nobody else would. Prison
So-
talk's fantastic.
Prison talk is a fan
timestamp-
favorite.
Timestamp this for me there, Oyster, if you would. Go into this house. It's
Oh
an
my
old-
god.
It's an older person's apartment complex, like a little neighborhood where old people live so they can check on each other. Because they lived long enough because they didn't huff markers. The
I'll
dog
be good.
is not well maintained. And it's a little frou-frou dog. it pees on the floor. The old person isn't well enough to take care of themselves, so
Oh no.
they sure can't take care of the dog. Maybe the old person pees on the floor too. I don't know, but you can feel squishy underneath.
It depends.
Your boots. That's gross. I know that whole joke, and it's gross.
Oh, sorry. Ooh.
Let's just carry on.
But the floor goes squishy under your boots, and then when you walk out, you step into the back of the ambulance, and it goes sticky to the floor. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are not good with maintaining the way their house smells when they have animals. And
Well, I'm not one of those people.
Well, I hope your floor don't go squishy.
It don't get squishy. It don't get squishy.
It don't go squishy.
It don't get squishy. Oh god, that's disgusting.
That was pretty bad.
That
Great
was
story,
terrible.
though. Good story.
Maybe we can interchange, like 1 week do medic talk, 1 week do prison talk, depending on.
Hey, if you guys want to see more medic talk, let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely. Let us
know.
know. Let them know. Let them know. All right, are we ready to move on to a new topic? What are we
Please.
talking? That was the random question topic.
That
We've
was.
got 2 left on the agenda. Well, you guys can pick which one we go to. We can talk a little competitive COD,
Well,
UMG Atlanta, Envyus, or we talk about COD.
let's talk competitive, and we'll finish out with some
Okay, because
marijuana.
the marijuana story that could take hours. It costs millions of lives for us to discuss that based on the
Yes.
rage and whatnot that may happen. So let's go to UMG Atlanta. Now let me go refresh my bracket just so I don't give any inaccurate information. I have the latest for you guys. We're recording this
Is it
Sunday
over?
night. It's almost over, but not quite. We're recording this Sunday night. The tournament's almost over. As we speak, Complexity's still waiting in the championship final match after winning the winners bracket. Remaining in the losers bracket, Epsilon eliminated Merkin
Hey,
3-2.
Can you put a link?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Let me go back to the chat real quick. Epsilon eliminated Merkin. VVV is playing SOAR as we speak. The winner of that will play against Epsilon in the losers bracket. The winner of that will play against TK, and the winner of that will play against Complexity in the final. So all that's left is Epsilon, TK, Complexity, VVV, and SOAR. And overall, this event went very as planned. Like, Envyus got a top 16 placing. FaZe got a top 16 placing. Curse got eliminated by SOAR and ended up with like a top 10 placing, top 8, I don't know. Conquer didn't do as well as they did at Anaheim. Who else? There's lots of disappointments. Optic wasn't there, and I'll go on a rant about Optic later. And for all you people who go in the chat of the stream and type "When's Optic playing?" to troll, it's not funny anymore. It's just annoying because you know Optic's not at the event. So typing "When is Optic playing?" because you know you'll piss off people like me. Just please stop. Please stop. But anyways.
They obviously did what they intended to do, though.
Absolutely. They're very successful in their venture, and I congratulate them on that. But they could just stop now. It's fine. Congratulations. You've proven that you can aggravate me. It's not very difficult to do.
No, it's not.
So,
No, it's not.
I don't know if Whackmed. No offense to Bondfire, but Whackmed seems to follow competitive COD a little closer than Bondfire. So we'll defer to Whackmed before we defer to Bondfire here. So Whackmed, do you have any thoughts to dive into? I could talk about this for hours, but I won't. But you can go.
The first thing is that what we were going to talk about last week, and I'm just enthralled by this bracket. Awesome bracket. The first thing is that I forgot the timestamp. Sorry.
We're at 8:56. I got you. Just keep going.
Envy, who I've wanted to make my go-to team, my favorite team, because of Rambo Ray. They did terrible at Gfinity. Disgustingly bad. And,
after doing bad at Anaheim.
Yeah.
So it's compounding.
I thought they did. I thought they at least showed up to Anaheim, but or did I miss that event? I'm thinking of the one before it.
No, what they come second place. I think they come second place at UMG St. Louis. They came second place at COD Champs. I don't
COD
remember.
Champs is what I was thinking.
Yeah, and then they came to Anaheim and they ended up with like a top 12 placing or something like that. They got knocked out by Conquer, and that's the same team that beat them this weekend in the winners bracket. So they did that. They placed terribly. That was the worst placing of Rambo's career because he had never placed outside the top 6. And then they came to Gfinity, and they there were 2 5-team pools, and the top 4 advanced to the knockout round, and they came last in their pool, so they came last at Gfinity. And now they came top 16 at UMG after picking up Karma, who is miles better than Stainville. And they get knocked out. It was poetically just like the storyline was just perfect because they lost to Conquer in the winners bracket, which is a pickup team that gets thrown together by ego at every event. He just picks up different people at different amateurs who he thinks deserves a chance to get on the big stage. So he picks up different amateurs pretty much every event. They only had half the team left after Anaheim. So the same team that knocked them out at Anaheim beats them and sends them to the losers bracket at this event, and then they lose to Epsilon, which is Karma's former team. Karma left Epsilon to come to Envyus, and then Epsilon knocks them out in the losers bracket. So, and everybody just hates Epsilon.
Epsilon? Or
they changed their name from Impact to Epsilon. They got a new sponsor, so it's the same team, though.
See? That makes sense. I didn't catch that.
That's one thing that really pisses me off about it. If you're going to just stay with the name, if you're going to pick them up as a sponsor, make them keep the name, or make the name a standalone, and you have the sponsor behind the name. Yeah. It's not like an NFL team where when you change your city, you change your name. Or maybe that's what it... No, I don't know. That's a bad analogy all the way around. But, okay, so they were doing pretty good. They started doing really bad. Stainville left. Didn't somebody else leave too?
No, it's just Stainville.
Okay.
They still got J-Cap Proofing.
They still got Cap? Okay. So...
Cap got his career ended by a 15-year-old on Conquer, though. It was hilarious. But anyways, go ahead.
That blows my mind. You say career ended. Did he quit, or is that just an expression?
No, that's just it's an expression for basically getting just completely pooped on.
Gotcha.
If you get turned on in this event, the guy got a 3P. I don't know if you saw it. I think Bondfire had it on. But basically, what happened was that
I had it on.
Envy was up. It was overtime and captured the flag. Envy capped in like 2 minutes and 2 seconds, something like that. So somewhere in the 2-minute bracket, which is pretty solid. So then it's pretty decent. It's not it's not amazing.
Like 4 pushes, 5 pushes.
But it was pretty good cap. And then there's like 30 seconds left, and Ego pulls the flag for Conquer, and it was the flag. It was on standoff, and it was on the green side, so like between green and warehouse, that flag, not grandma's side, the other side. So he pulls it, and he barely gets to like broken wall. Gets right to the edge of broken wall. So as you can imagine, not a very far distance. If he gets taken out, there's only one player alive for Conquer, and it's Nifty. He's 15 years old. No offense to Nifty, but he's kind of a squeaker. So he's not like a major squeaker. Like he's like, yeah, I'm good at Call of Duty, but he's like he doesn't like you get what I'm saying. So he comes up, he wins one gunfight at the corner of broken wall. So then he sprints to the flag, and then here comes another Envy player, and he kills another one, grabs the flag, and I don't remember if it was a 2-piece or a 3-piece, but one of them was on J-Cap. So basically, he gets a 2 or 3-piece, grabs the flag, runs all the way back. He gets like stunned with 6 seconds left when he's like 4 steps away from the flag, and he caps it with like a second and a half left, and they win the round. So and everybody just went crazy. He gained 8,000 Twitter followers off of that one play, but that's where J-Cab got his career ended. Long story short.
Yeah, long story long. Anyway, I really expected him to come back after picking up a new teammate, but there's also one thing that Florida State has now gotten me ready to see. Whenever any major change happens, anytime you change 25% of the team, you've changed a huge dynamic. And I mean, I'm not going to get into this player plays this position and this position's actually a little more of this or whatever, but just say 25% of the team has been changed. Whenever you change that much, you're going to have some growing pains. You're going to have to experience some things with one another that you can only experience in a competitive format, and I don't think Gang Battles cuts that. I don't think online sparring, scrimming works to grow all of the things that were grown at an event, or that get grown at an event, as far as cohesiveness of a team and expectations, because when it's all on the line, it means you're going to think a little bit differently. I have to do this now. I have to go clutch, or I have to whatever.
There's a difference between an online scrim and being one map, having to win this map, or else you just get knocked out of a professional event.
And that's nothing that you can that's something that's very difficult to prepare for. It's not something that you automatically assume the answer to, and you don't have a cohesiveness like other teams have. These guys are supposed to be awesome. Like you said, on paper, they're the best team, and they're just not coming together well, apparently. I didn't expect them to win this event because of having a new team member. I was hoping for better placement than 13 of 16.
I predicted second place behind Complexity, who it looks like is just going to roll through everybody again. And that's the reason I predicted second, not first, because on paper they're better, but I don't know that Karma was the best. He was the best player skill-wise they could have picked up, because he's probably the best player in the game, top 3 for sure, but might be the best. And he came from Impact or Epsilon, whatever you want to call them, where you had all the trash talking and you're shooting dead bodies and you're teabagging people and you're just talking all this crap about how you're the best. And you come to Envyus, who's like the most professional organization, arguably, and there's no kind of shenanigans going on. It's just business. And so that was kind of one dynamic that it was going to be interesting to see how it turned out. And I don't understand what it is, man. I don't get it. Like, because you've got Rambo, who's the smartest player in the game. You've got Karma, who's the best slayer in the game. And then you've got Proofy and JCap, who aren't the best ARs in the game, but they're certainly...
They're solid.
If they were to become free agents, there's very few teams that couldn't get an upgrade by picking them up. So, I mean, it's like I talked to my friend Wizardo, who's a player for Conspiracy Esports, and we always tweet at each other a lot during these events because we both follow it pretty closely. And I said, and he's a big Envyus fan, and I asked him, if they lose and they get top 16, who are you dropping? And he said, I don't know who to drop. Like, because it's like on paper you can't really get anybody that much better. He said maybe drop JCap and try to pick up Parasite, but it's like you can't make a massive.
Wow.
You can't make a Parasite's better than JCap.
Yeah,
But
Parasite's one of the best players. I hate watching my team play against Parasite. He's a destroyer.
you can't. But it's like you brought up a good point. Like you can't. There's not a massive individual skill gap to be made if you were to replace one of the current players with any other player.
Let me throw this out there. What if you replaced? I'm going to stay with Rambo. I started watching him because my son. I think my oldest son looks like Rambo. A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And so that's what caught my eye first of all. I was like, wow, that looks like it could, at the risk of sounding like your president, that looks like it could be my son. In several years. Plus, he's not French. Although if he wanted to learn French, that'd be cool. But I definitely wouldn't want him to be French. And so I started watching him more and more, and I liked the professionalism, which is one of the reasons I wanted to stick with Envy a little closer. If you got rid of Proofy or JCap, I think my vote would be for JCap because I've seen proof from Proofy, and I would want maybe somebody who's not as skilled. For some reason, it seems like is it a syndrome? Can you call it the Rudy syndrome? You all want this one to succeed. You all want to see this happen, and maybe if you have a lesser player as far as skill goes, then it builds more teamwork because you don't want to have to carry somebody like Optics carrying Merc. But
I can't believe you just said that, but okay.
But maybe that's something they need to do is to have to carry somebody, and maybe that'll help. I don't know. That's my thoughts.
Well, if they get, it's just a guess, but maybe if they get someone less experienced, they can almost craft him into what they want him to be, and teach him, I don't know, their specific ways of doing stuff. I don't know. I know it applies in sports, but it doesn't apply. I don't know how it applies to Call of Duty.
That's valid. I don't know, but it's just hard because you don't. While in theory it's like, okay, if you pick up someone who's not as good, then in a way it kind of takes the pressure off as well. Because after they picked up Karma, it's like, okay, this is the God Squad. There's absolutely no way this team should lose to anybody. So there's that extra pressure. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, maybe, I hate to say this, especially about Rambo, because regardless of how his gun skill may have deteriorated as he gets older, he's still the smartest player in the game, but maybe the names are carrying more weight than the actual. Maybe Rambo, Proofy, and JCap just aren't as good as people think they are anymore. Maybe the names are just overshadowing the actual skill. Now, obviously, they're all still top 20, top 25 players at the worst case scenario, but I don't know. Maybe they're not as good as people think they are anymore. I don't know. It's just a thought.
It's a weighty word. Those very heavy words.
I don't know. I want to talk.
Why didn't Optic play? Why didn't they compete?
Merc was at his brother's wedding, so it wouldn't have worked out as far as the schedule. So that's the only reason.
Well, if Merc sucks, like Wax says, they could just get someone else, right? Don't they have like 20 people on that team?
No.
Well, the competitive, it's only 4, but I mean, they could have. If Optic wanted to pick up Optic could pick up any player in the game if they wanted, but they're not going to do that over a UMG event. So
I'd have played for them if they needed me.
Then you would have got like third rounded because Whackman would lose the spawns every time.
I'd have done it if I had been needed. But,
I want to talk about Optic. If unless you want to move off the competitive thing real quick.
Well, I just have to say about Optic. I did want to defend my position on Merc. Is that?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll go ahead. That's a good transition.
There we go. Good transition. I want to hear this.
Lately, he has not been showing up like I would want to see a professional player show up. And I realize he has a pedigree and he has names behind him, but it's like Big Timer can't do but so much. Nade Shot has
Nade Shot's not as good as you all think he is. Fanboys
he's
out
hot
there,
and cold, man. Sometimes
so overrated.
Sometimes
not top 15 in the game. Anyways,
wow.
Go ahead.
Most popular overrated. Though, so
most YouTube subs. That's all that matters. Make that money.
But I
he draws huge on Twitch.
I don't see that there, and the way they're standing behind Merc, I think they've invested. Just if you take it back away from the player and put it into a more political type arena, they've invested so much into Merc. How can you get rid of him? I mean, like they're all tweeting hug circles and tweeting kumbayas to one another, and putting out in their own streams, leave Merc alone, and defending him. And you want to see that kind of cohesion, but you want to see that kind of cohesion when a team is doing really well. Not whenever you have a weak link.
Well, here's the thing that people don't realize. One, I think people don't realize Optic has placed top 3 in 3 consecutive events. So I think if I'm not mistaken, because Gfinity, COD Champs, they were 3rd, Anaheim, they were 3rd, I think. So when people say that they're not doing well necessarily, it's like if you're coming 3rd place consistently, top 3 at almost every LAN event you go to against professional teams, that if you're saying that that's a weak performance, then that's very high expectations.
But when you watch them, it's almost like they're lucky to have done that. I mean, it looks like they're going to lose every single game they play. They just squeak by.
Well, after I talk about Merc, I'll tell you what I think the real problem is with Optic. But ooh. I think the thing yeah, spoiler. I think the thing with Merc is that one, Anchor is I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he's an anchor. One is people can get fooled easily by an anchor not putting up numbers. And I'm not saying that people are saying Merc is bad because he's not putting up numbers, but in reality, an anchor has about 8 meaningful gunfights over the course of an entire match, over the course of a 10-minute hardcore game. Because all you have to do is the anchor, the gunfight you have to win is when that other anchor comes around and you're fighting over the spawn, and that's the gunfight you have to win. So if an anchor goes 18 and 21, but he has spawns all game, he was the most valuable player on that team by far. So I think people maybe see him, he may not be dropping 30 bombs like Parasite does on the anchor, but in the end, if he's getting the spawns, that's his number 1 job over getting a high amount of kills. That's number 1. And number 2 is there's not a ton of anchors that are good. Like, it's a very difficult position to try to learn to play because it's so much mental as opposed to actual gun skill, which all of competitive Call of Duty is, but particularly that position. Like, if you were to drop Merc, who would you try to pick up? I mean, there's Parasite, there's Clayster, maybe JCap.
See, the thing is, now you're talking about a position, a specific position, and the only 2 that I know that are devoted to that position are Rambo and Merc.
Not Rambo, JCap. JCap.
Rambo was, I don't know, the event that I watched, Rambo was.
Rambo's the sub. Well, maybe like in certain situations, but he's the sub player. JCap's Envy's main anchor because he runs an AR. Yeah, but either way though, the point still stands that there's not many good anchors out there, and anchor's not a position you can just throw someone. You can say, well let's pick up Rambo. We'll just move Big Timer over to anchor. Like you can't just move someone over to anchor. Like it has to be. You have to know what you're doing. So I don't know. I think Merc gets too much crap. I think people don't realize that the fact that they've still been placing extremely well. So we can agree to disagree on that. I think the real problem with Optic, and this is what I wanted to talk about when we started Optic Talk, now that we've got the Merc hate out of the way for Mr. Whackmed over here, what I really wanted to talk about with Optic Talk was the fact that I think the reason Optic is not winning is because Optic have become complacent at the top of the mountain. Whenever you hear Optic doing these team vlogs at Anaheim or at the MLG Dallas when they did their team expectations, because if the thing was at MLG Dallas, if you came top 8 at MLG Dallas, then you qualified for Call of Duty Championships. So obviously everybody was striving to be top 8 so they could go to Call of Duty Championships. And Optic, they're like, our goal is top 8, our goal is top 8. Then once they got top 8, they're like, we've got our goal of top 8, we're still going to try to win the event, obviously, but you could tell when they were doing these vlogs and stuff, you could tell that they were kind of like, okay, we've got top 8, our job is done. Same thing happens at Anaheim. They're like, we'd really like to come top 3, and then once they got to top 3, you could kind of tell that they were complacent with that. They were okay with that. It wasn't killing them the fact that they did not get all the way and win the championship. And now, I mean, obviously, your brother's wedding, you can't miss that, especially when you're the best man, so that was just a scheduling mishap. But they've been streaming, as opposed to playing 8s, or as opposed, which is pick up Call of Duty, basically, as opposed to playing 8s with pros, or playing, game battles or something. They've been streaming Minecraft for 12 hours a day, and then, Nade Shot, every time he posts a Call of Duty video, it's League play, which is just basically like a pub now. I don't know, and I feel like Optic, now that Nade Shot particularly, and then as well as Scump to a slightly lesser extent, have blown up on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube, and now they've got the entire, it's a monopoly on Optic. Optic is a 20,000, if Optic is playing in the UMG final, if it's Optic versus Complexity instead of even Envy versus Complexity or Epsilon versus Complexity, that's a 20,000 viewer swing right there if Optic's in the match. That's how much they own the whole community. So I feel like maybe they've gotten complacent because they know even if they don't show up at the event, maybe even if they get 3rd instead of 1st, or even if they get 7th instead of 1st, or 5th instead of 1st, whatever, they know that the YouTube is still going to be there, they're still going to be the most popular, they're still going to make the most money, they're still going to have the most sponsors. So I feel like, as opposed to these other teams where you're not making a whole lot of money, like if you're a top team, you're making enough to live off of it, but not by a lot. You're not living in luxury status by any means. You've got a couple of significant sponsors, maybe. You've got some event earnings where, you have to win to stay relevant, and you have to win to keep making the money and to keep the sponsors. Optic doesn't have to win to do that. So I feel like they've lost their drive to win, personally. That's what I think. But, end rant.
Well, maybe when you reach that type of status, like I've noticed some YouTubers even, they get to where they are based on, let's say, doing like COD commentaries, because those are really popular, and then once they reach a certain status level, they start to do their own thing and they veer off because they've reached the viewership to maintain good views on their videos, and then they can kind of do what they want. So maybe that's kind of what they're doing. Like they've become, like you said, complacent, but now they've got the viewership and they're getting the income. So they just go and do whatever they want now because they can.
Good point. I mean, they have got to be making enough money so that prize money from these events is just kind of bonus.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm wondering if MLG needs them more than they need MLG. If that's the status.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I'd say.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that?
As soon as I get done typing.
Cool. I mean,
elaborating on that would mean that whether or not they show up to an MLG event, they're still going to make the same amount of money this day, that day, the other day. They don't need it for the notoriety. They don't need it for the publicity. Everyone knows who they are. They are the most popular gaming team
in Call of Duty.
And so because you get a bump in viewership that is that substantial, it's almost like we need them to win so that we get more publicity and more notoriety. We need to have to get this thing to be bigger. You need somebody who's excited and says, "This is a really cool thing. You need to come watch it. Watch these guys play." And since you have more fans of Optic, you're going to have more voices out there saying that.
Right, and that's one thing that happened this weekend was that obviously since Optic's not playing in UMG Atlanta, what happened is that Optic kept streaming while UMG Atlanta, at least on Saturdays, Bondfire goes to close his blinds so we don't get that sunlight shining in. But what happened was that people, I don't know what they were streaming exactly. I think Scump was streaming League play, I think, and maybe one of them was streaming Minecraft. I don't know, but multiple Optic members were streaming. And basically people said, you guys should stop streaming because it's stealing viewers from UMG. So people are now, like when it first started, it's like, okay, at least we've got the face of the esports, so to speak, or competitive Call of Duty. We've got our face. This is the team that everybody's going to rally around. They can grow everything. But then now you've got so that it's reliant on them to grow. Like, it's the fact that if Scump starts streaming League play, the UMG viewership drops by 5,000 viewers because 5,000 people are going to watch him instead. That's bad. So you're kind of right that they kind of need him. I equate it kind of like I equate it to being like the Dallas Cowboys in a way. When's the last time the Cowboys were relevant for actually winning?
Ooh.
It's been a while. It's been a while, but the Cowboys are still relevant. So it's like they built up enough of a relevant in the terms that ESPN still has. It feels the need to talk about them every single day for some reason. So relevant sparkly. And it's kind of a stretch of an analogy. But I personally feel like it's kind of similar. It's like they built up such a fan base and everything that now they don't have to win to still get fanfare and still be relevant.
Yeah.
So, well, we can get off the COD unless anybody else has anything else. Competitive COD talk. I wanted to get my little Optic rant out because I know if I do it in an individual video, it'll get spammed with dislikes. So I didn't want to do that. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to do that. And you three people.
I have a hater now. I have someone who's going around disliking seemingly all of my videos.
I've been getting.
Do you?
It seems like that.
I usually get like one dislike out of every 5 to 7 videos ish. So it's usually like no dislikes, 1 dislike, no dislikes. Like that's kind of how it is. And then now it's like the last 3 of my last 5 videos have got a dislike. In my UMG Atlanta predictions video, I don't know if people were mad about my predictions, but it's got 5 likes and 3 dislikes. I've never had a video that was that close to being even before on my channel. I don't get it. Why are you guys hating?
People don't.
I put a lot of effort into that, and 2 of the teams I predicted to come in the top 4 are top 16 now, Envy and FaZe. So clearly I was wrong, but still.
People do not want to see you get mad because horses are on the highway.
Oh god, I found that video to be amusing just because I've never seen a horse on the highway before. I'll agree those bikers can be aggravating. I will agree.
What aggravates me the most about the bikers is that
Here we go.
They want the same rights. Oh, my bad. They want the same rights as the automobiles, but they don't want to obey the laws that the automobiles have to obey. And that's like all of this. If you're a biker who obeys the law, you're just a concession that I willingly make. If you're going to run through the red light because you're going to look left and right and then you can get away with it, you suck.
You think it's bad out there? Come out to the Northwest, where everyone rides their stupid little bikes in the street.
There's so many bikes in Seattle.
It's so I hate it when a biker like pulls in the left lane right in front of you, and waits at the stoplight like they're a car. No, you're not a car. There's bike lanes for a reason. Get out of my way, or I will hit you.
Now, you know what is impressive is whenever one of them is in a turn lane, signals executes the turn and then goes back to the bike lane, I just want to stop him and shake his hand. Man, can I give you a lift? I'll get you there faster. Oh, okay.
I just want to also, one last thing about the bike thing is that the first biker ever to be convicted of vehicular manslaughter happened a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Because somebody was speeding down the road and they ran a red light. The light was red, but they kept going. And they hit an elderly man, and the man died. And now, for the first time in history of the United States, a biker has been convicted of vehicular manslaughter. So, I thought that kind of
impressed with the court system for following up on that.
Interesting. There you have it, folks. Red
Should
light
marijuana
means
be
stop.
legal? Should marijuana be legal? Should marijuana be legal? Spam the chat below, yes or no. Just type, don't even type anything, just type yes and then just type no. That's all I want to see. If you want to follow up, do it in a different comment. I just want to see if you guys will listen to me.
I want predictions here inside the three of us. I'm gonna look at God, what's your name? Oyster, and say you are against it.
I'm about to stop the recording.
You
think I'm against?
I would think that you would be against it, and that Bondfire would also be against it, just because that's kind of a giveaway. We already know the answer to that one.
Against, see, don't think it should be legal.
Against legalizing. I think you're both against legalizing it.
Well, you are about on the opposite spectrum of what I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe you two both think it should be legal, and I'm going to be the lone star out here.
I know that Bondfire doesn't think it should be. Spoiler alert, because he said it before the show.
I
don't remember if Whackmed
I did not say.
said. I'm going to predict. So I know a little bit about Whackmed. We've been talking for a while, a few months. I know that Whackmed's religious. I know that he's, I think, Republican. I don't know. I have a feeling.
Wait,
he is.
whoa. We don't do politics here on 3 Bar.
No, I'm just making my prediction. But I think Whackmed's busting out of the box. I think Whackmed wants pot legalized. Am I wrong?
Nope.
Yes. Okay. So that means it's 2 versus 1, I think.
Yeah. I predicted
well,
it.
let's hear your argument first. Let's hear your argument first.
And honestly, I don't have too much of an argument because I understand. I know what you guys are going to say, and I'm pretty sure they're all valid points. But the reason why I don't think it should be legalized is because, one, look at the people who do it. Everyone who does it, at least out here in the wonderful Northwest, they're all a bunch of losers.
Would you say hippies?
Yes, I would. Which proves that I am not a hippie because I do not partake in that activity.
3 Bar Exploits does not condone the use of marijuana in any way.
Absolutely not.
Even though some of us may support the legalization of it, as long as it is illegal, you should not do it because it's illegal and breaking the law is bad.
Yeah.
Now on to the rest of Bonfire's point.
I think if you endorse it and say it's okay to do it, you're just promoting those types of people and the activities that they partake in. Because if you look at the average person that does it, that's all they do. They're a waste of space. They're sucking the government for all it's worth, and they're living off welfare and all that crap.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Shots fired! Shots fired!
I mean, I'm just going based off the average person that smokes pot. And
that you know.
What?
That you know.
That you know.
And that you know.
That I've witnessed and seen here in the wonderful Northwest.
Okay.
Which, by the way, Washington State does legalize it, or they did legalize it.
It's a tricky situation for a state to legalize it, though, because federally it's still illegal, so
I know.
Who knows what it really is, but...
Yeah, I don't know how it fully works, but still, I don't know. I just think it's stupid. I don't do it. I've never done it. I don't understand it, and I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want that in my country. So
that is perfectly valid.
Fair opinion.
Whackmed, why don't you tear it apart for us?
You also have a terrible opinion. It's pretty silly. I do not condone the use of chemical enhancement in that manner. It's a chemical enhancement that you can't get rid of. I have smoked marijuana in the past. I have never enjoyed it. Don't ever plan to do it in the future, and cannot foresee any circumstance where I would want to. Even like after I retire and I'm not subject to random drug tests, and if it were made legal, I would not be a participant. However, the sheer volume of capital that goes in this country to stopping it is just ludicrous. It is absolutely asinine to spend so much money trying to prevent people from growing, selling, distributing, and enjoying a weed, something that can grow with no help whatsoever, almost on bare concrete. And granted, that's not the caliber of dope that people want to smoke, but it can do that. It can almost grow in the gutter in a street because it's a weed. The money that is spent on it does not make it okay to make something illegal, considering the effects. I've never been to a car wreck that was caused by someone who's high. I've been to a bunch of car wrecks that are caused by somebody who's drunk. I've never been to a car wreck that was caused by cigarettes or dipping or whatever. Why is it illegal? If you look back to why marijuana is illegal in the first place, it's because of lobbyists and lawyers. And there's no real reason that it should have been illegalized in the first place. There are reports.
Somebody's saying it. Let them know.
There are reports that the founding fathers used marijuana on a regular basis. George Washington had a hemp plantation. There are all kinds of things in antiquity that would say that this is something that should be, I don't want to say condoned or done, but not villainized. And I don't think it's fair to villainize everyone who enters into the lifestyle of being a dope head. And I think that there's extremes in everything. You have alcoholics out there in society right now, and some of them are good people and some of them are just terrible people. And alcohol has ruined many lives, and I've never heard of it making one better. And I think that you can compare that to someone who is addicted to or daily uses marijuana. I happen to know a guy who smokes daily. It's a wake and bake situation for him. It's how he makes it through the day. He's one of the best people you'll ever meet. If you need him at 3 a.m., he gets up and he comes to you at 3 a.m. for whatever it is that you need help with. If you're stuck, flat tire, out of gas, he'll be there for you. He's a great guy. He happens to be a pothead. It's become an industry in the United States to suppress marijuana, and that is wrong. I don't want to smoke weed. I have no intention or desire to smoke weed. I also have no intention or desire for a substantial portion of my tax dollars to go into preventing something that's that silly and that stupid. It's actually found more medical uses than anything else that you can use it for. And what is negative about it is usually the way it's the way it's ingested or taken into the body is usually what the majority of the negative effects of it are on you as a person, besides the fact that it makes you relax to a point where you become, in some cases, absolutely a burden to yourself and others and other taxpayers.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me is the only negative, significant negative that I see with it is that I feel like as someone in high school, I've seen it happen to many of my friends, is that it becomes a social, it becomes a lifestyle, kind of like what Bondfire said. Because it's not like going to have a beer or whatever at the bar or whatever, and you just go and you have a drink, you come home and whatever. It's like that's what you do on the weekends. It's like, hey, you want to come smoke some pot this weekend? Sure. Like that's your social activity is to go get high, which I think is bad, and I think it's at that point it's kind of unhealthy because you're revolving so much of your life around it. And when you're high, you're not as productive of a human being as you would be if you weren't in most cases. So that's also a negative. But these are, and I'm going to throw out some facts. It's not going to be Wings of Redemption facts where I made them up. It's going to be real facts. Weed, or marijuana, I don't want to say weed because it's not technically what it is, but marijuana has about an 8 to 10, and this will solve the whole is it addictive argument. It has, statistically, scientifically speaking, from a neutral source, it has about an 8 to 10% dependency rate for people who use it.
That's going to be per use as well, so.
Alcohol is lower. Tobacco is 30%. So you're telling me that we have just to compare cigarettes to it, cigarettes should be illegal in this country. Okay, I personally think if you're gonna have marijuana illegal, cigarettes should be illegal.
Fine with me.
Personally, so you're gonna have cigarettes / tobacco, whatever. It's gonna have a 30% addiction rate. It's going to cause all kinds of cancer. It's going to tear up your lungs. It's just kind of a nasty thing to do, like for the people around you and stuff. Like have you ever been walked by someone in the street and they're smoking a cigarette and then you get one whole breathful of cigarette smoke? Like it's just kind of aggravating.
Can I interrupt you on that point?
Sure.
With the advent of e-cigarettes and gum, I don't see any reason to ever use real tobacco anymore for anybody. Why would you want to need to spit? I understand greatly the desire to get a chew of tobacco. Why would you ever want to get into that when you could just chew the gum? Why would you ever want to deal with all the problems with smoking when you can get an e-cigarette? Go ahead.
Well, there you go. It's perfectly good alternatives, and you've got all that, and that's legal. It's legal to do that. It's legal to have something where almost 1 out of every 3 people who does it gets addicted, and it causes all kinds of health problems. It kills thousands of people every year with lung cancer and stuff like that. It's a nuisance to the people around you, but yet it's illegal to do something where 1 in 10 people get addicted to it. There's not any massive, overwhelming health issues that come along with it. I mean, obviously, there's some minor stuff, and like Wackman was saying, it's usually how you do it is the issue. But it's not like it's causing lung cancer or anything that we know of, and it's not like it's causing a massive nuisance to people around you. Although I have been to concerts where people have smuggled in weed, and the smell, if you're not actually partaking in it, the smell can be quite repelling. But it baffles me. Okay.
I love the smell.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree, but it just baffles my mind how that can be illegal in cigarettes can't be, or tobacco use in general. But then also the amount of money, like they've calculated this out. Several different economists and stuff have done this. It was something like if marijuana was legalized, but because the way we started talking about this, actually, just so you guys know, is that Uruguay, which is a South American country, not a continent, Whackmed, it's a country, became the first country in the world to fully legalize marijuana. But the way they're doing it is that they're growing it all. The government's growing it, the government's selling it, the government's regulating it. If the United States were to do the same thing, it would something like cut the national debt in half. Like, there is so much money to be had, and also a lot of the issues that come along with it, medical issues, social issues, whatever. If it were regulated, a lot of the dangers, if it were regulated by the government, a lot of the dangers could be prevented because it wouldn't be, an unregulated, unmonitored thing that anybody on the street could grow some pot as long as they didn't get caught and sell it to people. So I think the fact that it doesn't seem to have as many negative effects as people say it does, along with the monetary benefit it would provide, I don't see why we haven't already legalized it.
Well, I think part of it is something that you said right there, expanding the government to regulate it. Government regulating more things.
You already got the FDA and the DEA and whatever that already regulates drugs and stuff.
Sure, and I see where you're going with that, but if you have a government-controlled substance that basically, like insurance, with we'll just leave it at that. But insurance, if you have government, so if you have government-run insurance, then it's expanding the government. They control more of those things. That's not something I want. Less government is better. And so, I mean, if you legalize it, fine, but make it private sector. That way, the government's not running it.
Bonfire,
because I'm against expanding
government. But then the monetary benefit goes away.
But couldn't you argue?
To an extent.
Couldn't you argue now that the government's regulating it?
Yeah, and I was waiting for you to say that. You're right. Yes, but what I don't want is expansion of government, and I feel like that would happen with potentially legalize it. Like you said, in Uruguay, they're growing it. Yeah. They're the ones selling it. So when you buy it, you're buying it from the government. Why don't they just do the same thing with cigarettes? You're buying it straight from the government. Same with alcohol. Why not just do that with everything? Or heck, cocaine. Why not legalize it?
There's a huge difference there.
No, I know with cocaine there's a little bit of difference, but you know what? I'm gonna stick to my point.
Just a little. It's slightly
I'm gonna stick to it. I think you're supporting a lifestyle that is just leeching onto this government, and I cannot support that.
If you left the government out of it, if you left it private industry, if J.A. Morris split half their fields and made half of them marijuana fields, and the government was able to tax it, as they do with cigarettes and alcohol and several other things, you still have the spending cut from the federal government, state government, local government for the law enforcement that has to be devoted to keeping these terrible people off the street, and you have a revenue source of taxation. And this government, this nation has never been about no taxation. Taxation is required. It's about initially taxation with representation and controllability, and you can make all kinds of arguments about how good or bad that is at this day and age, and a lot of people would be happy to debate you. We're just not going to do it here. But if you took a similar approach to taxing this substance as you do with other substances in its caliber, then you have a viable source of revenue for the government that is also a huge spending cut. So
I understand that.
You're still talking about making a bunch of money, and that would be without expansion of government.
I understand that, but again, you're adding another tax, whether I pay it or not. I'm not going to vote for another tax, because I think, again, I'm trying not to expand on this too much, but the current government is overspending and just trying to suck us more, and I'm not going to vote for that. So, but you have a valid point. It would be an additional resource of revenue, but if I had a vote in it, I'm not going to vote for another tax, and I'm not going to vote for those types of people, and that's where I stand.
Okay,
logical or not, that's what it is.
I agree that the government should be smaller and that they're overspending. Just to highlight the fact that that's how much I think that they should legalize it, is because I'm willing to have the government expand a little bit if it means having all that revenue, or just taxing it. That's fine too. Mm-hmm. But another thought that I always have on it is that the people who do it are going to do it whether it's legal or not. So you might as well think about the amount of all the illegal activities in this country. I don't have a statistic. This is a Wings of Redemption statistic coming out here, but I would argue that partaking in marijuana, whether it be smoking it or whatever, it's got to be in the top 5 of most performed illegal activities. So the fact that it's illegal and people still do it all the time.
Top 5 what?
Out of all the things that are illegal in this country, that's be one of the top 5 that is actually done. Okay. So I would say the people who are going to do it are going to do it whether it's legal or not. So why not get some kind of benefit? Because I understand what you're saying about don't endorse this lifestyle and whatnot, and I completely agree with that because I think it's a bad lifestyle as well. But the 10 kids I know at school that all get together on Friday nights and get high at one of their houses because their parents are out of town. They're doing it while it's illegal, so they're going to do it while it's legal or illegal, either way. So having the government make some money off of it and be able to regulate it some so that it's not as dangerous, even though it's not that dangerous, but so that it's less dangerous, and having the government be able to cut some of its spending and cut all of the... I mean, think of how many cops get called to places to arrest people for having marijuana possession, or how much money gets spent on taking care of people in jail and prisons who got caught for dealing marijuana. All of that money goes away or gets taken back as revenue as well. So I feel like as far as usage and the amount of people doing it, the amount of people living said lifestyle isn't going to change whether it's legal or not. I mean, the usage will uptick a little bit, obviously, because, the people who are like, I'm not doing this because it's illegal, they might do it then, but I feel like if it's going to, such an overwhelming amount of people are going to do it anyways, you might as well get some benefit out of it.
I see what you're saying. It's a valid point.
I actually don't like the way you put it, even though our ends are the same. I don't agree with the government doing the things you said, but that's a political conversation. But our ends are the same. There's going to be, first of all, for this to flip from one side to the other, there's going to be huge regulation. Is the only way that it would ever pass. there's also going to be huge taxation, if not full control, which is also the only way that this would pass. The benefits are that it puts less people in prison. It gets my country out of a debt that it shouldn't be in. It's a revenue source to pay for a debt that wasn't directly created by the act itself. Like, it's going to pay off debt that was stupid spending in other places that have nothing to do with paying for weed. But it's just wrong. It's just bad. And I'm not going to go on a philosophical side and say that you should legalize all drugs, because drugs are bad, okay?
Okay, don't do drugs, because drugs give you cancer.
But I mean, cocaine does terrible things to your brain. It does terrible things to your body. And it has no benefit whatsoever other than the euphoria that it creates for you for a period of time. Heroin's the same way. Meth is got to be the worst drug in the world.
It's bad.
I've gone to classes. Sorry. I've gone to classes and seen how meth is made, and I've seen people on meth. Meth is one of those things that, as the poison leaches out of your skin, as the acid leaches out of your skin, there are people who cut it out, take that amount of acid, and re-ingest it. If you're willing to cut something out of your body to put it back into your body, that's bad. Okay, in case you missed all the other warning signs about how this is bad for you, there's one. Cut it out, put it back in, that's not good.
I'm going to be honest, I don't really know much about meth. Like, I don't know what happens when you do meth. I don't know how people do meth. I guess they smoke it or whatever. Meth is such a
different ways.
Meth is such like a terrible and taboo thing to me that I don't even like know much about it, other than that it is something to not mess with.
Meth is the drug that makes you the ugliest physically. Meth is the drug that takes the most away from your body. Meth is not even the drug that gets you the highest. That would go into a cocaine or a heroin category. But what it is a cheaper form of getting to a higher euphoria than marijuana can give you. And so it's made as a derivative of Sudafed, and there are actually laboratories in Mexico that make it specifically for the purpose of sending it to the United States for sale.
I agree. Cocaine, hair, anything that can kill you should not be legalized.
The process of cooking meth could explode at any moment and blow up like a whole house.
Yep.
And it's a pretty violent thing to watch, and I got to see a couple of videos of how it was made in a laboratory, and as these lithium-ion batteries start giving off flames inside the bottle, they're like, yeah, you have to burp the bottle that you're cooking this in every so often, or the bottle will explode, and as soon as it's all exposed to air, you got a big kaboom. Like, really? You have to cook this thing with battery acid, and you don't get rid of all the battery acid. That's part of what you're taking in. It's also what comes out of your skin, what they put back in. Bad stuff.
Pretty bad. It's pretty gross.
That's why they've got those memes of people who, like, they'll show, like, a movie star or somebody who, got addicted to, became an alcoholic or became cocaine or whatever, and they show, like, before when they're, like with women, they're, like, this beautiful woman who's, like, everybody thinks is attractive and stuff, and then they'll show them, like, 20 years later, they're all old and wrinkly and stuff, and they look like garbage, and then they'll have the caption that says, meth, not even once. So now it makes sense. It's a very common meme.
I tell you what, go to Google image search and look for meth mouth.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
Do a Google image. Oh, do it. It's funny.
Okay, you'll get to see our live reaction then. Okay, we just hit enter. Let's shift to images.
Makes you want to give him a big old kissy.
Oh, that is terrible.
Gross.
And there's some of them you can actually look at how it degrades the teeth and.
Yeah. It creates like sores on your body and your face. It's just
The sores are actually the acid leaching back out. Those are called meth mites.
I'm a bit worried about how much Whackman knows about all
I'm a
this.
paramedic, dude. It's my thing. I actually went to a whole seminar on meth, and it was fun. It was put on by a firefighter and a firefighter and a ex-firefighter, ex-cop. Two different guys, and they fought with each other about who was better, the paramedic one. But yeah, meth is just bad.
It's very bad. But yeah.
It also keeps you up for a really long time, and just a funny thing, amphetamines used to be given to soldiers, especially in Vietnam and World War II, as a means of keeping the soldier awake and vigilant, which is why you hear so many stories about them coming home with addictions. So, not what I want my fighting men that are protecting my country to have to deal with.
Yep.
I googled what does meth do to you, and I went to Yahoo Answers, and someone says it makes you feel like Jesus came down and shook your hand. Then it turns you into schizophrenic.
Wow.
Pretty nasty.
I guess that kind of sums it up, but I don't know, man. How do we get talking about meth? Strictly Business is going to drop us immediately.
This is where Bondfire shows you how marijuana is a gateway drug, because even in conversation it takes you to harder drugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great.
That was a good one. That was good. Well, there you go, kids. Don't do drugs. Regardless.
Was that our wrap up this week?
There it
Back
is.
in the chat.
There it is.
So there we go. Everybody, we're gonna dance this week.
No, they got we got 15. We were hoping to do live. We can dance again then.
How about let's say we will dance? We will dance next week. If we get at least 2 topic suggestions from people on any of our videos. If you suggest 2 topics to us to do in a future episode, we will dance next week.
I like it.
That's fair. You guys make it happen. We have something to offer to you, and you can offer us something else in return. So that's the way the world works.
There we go.
You get to see
give and take, huh?
You get to see a bald white guy, a dude wearing gunner glasses, and a 15-year-old kid dance. So what else do you want?
Nothing. I can't think of anything better than that.
There you go. Whackman, you can take us out on that note.
Take us out.
Thanks for joining us here for 3-Bar Exploits number 11, 12.
12.
Oh
12?
my god. It's
Can't
12.
get a new take. It's not like the intro, man. I don't get like 16 different versions of Let's Go.
Shut up.
Sorry, I just recently rewatched the one where your first one with a face cam, and the intro to that is still like
So good.
Not all of it was actually made it to film, and the intro to that was just so much fun to be a part of. Wow. But thank you for joining us for 3-Bar Exploits number 12. Make sure you tweet at us using the hashtag 3-Bar Exploits. Check out Strictly Business Gaming. We always appreciate it when you let the people who help us out know how much you are enjoying what it is that we do. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Thanks. Have a great day. I want to dance anyway.
I don't think that'll make the cut.
It probably won't. It might now. It might have to, because Oyster did it too.
I already caught my recording, so.
I didn't.
Aww.